Hare Srinivasa, we have just gathered here to listen about Sri Prasanna Venkatadasa's kritis and their inner meanings or the meanings which would really transform us. He has done a lot of works to reform society. On a personal level, people can be reformed, and at the same time, they can influence on other people too. So today we have taken one such kriti called as Narayana Varma. Narayana Varma, Narayana panjara rather. So why did I say Narayana Varma? That's because in Bhagavata, 6th canto, there is a set of shlokas which are termed as Narayana Varma or Narayana Kavacha. So the Narayana Kavacha, as the term itself signifies, is like a shield for the person who is chanting it. So when the person is chanting it, he thinks about the glory of Narayana. Who is Narayana? What are his attributes? And how he has previously rescued people in distress. So these accounts of what are contained in that part of the Bhagavatam has been narrated here in a slightly different manner. So here the Prasanna Venkata Dasaru has named the same song as Narayana Panjara. Panjara means a cage or a kavacha. Kavacha means shield. So Narayana Panjara means the shield of Narayana, or you're just wearing a shield using the names of Narayana. Narayana is the person or the entity who is the supreme soul. So here we are talking about the word or the Shabda Narayana and its implications as discussed or as revealed by Prasanna Venkata Dasaru, and he says that I am revealing all these based on what Madhva has taught me. So Acharya Madhva's interpretation of Narayana as the supreme master of everyone is being resorted to even in this Kriti of Dasaru. We know this by looking at the end part of this Kriti, wherein there are 41 verses. In the 40th verse, he says, Madvesha Madhva Priya Madhva Mata Paripala Narayanaya Namo Narayana Madhva Guru Stutya Madhvarchita Padabja Hari Narayanaya Namo Narayana Madvesha Madhva Priya. You are the Isha of Madhva. You are the controller of Madhva. You are the inner controller of everyone. And you are dear to Madhva. You are the Madhva Mata Paripala. You are the one who protects and uplifts those who are in the footsteps of Madhva. So what do we mean by Madhva Mata? Madhva Mata has its own set of theories to explain the world and how it came to be, the existence and sustenance of people and other different beings that exist in this world. How is it that these kind of sustenance is happening? Sustenance of anything at all requires energy. And energy is always having a source. Without a source, you cannot have energy. When we look at it scientifically also, we understand that for anything to be hot, say if you want a gas to be burning, then you need the fuel to burn there to give the heat to the vessel. Electricity is also a form of energy. If you want anything to rotate the fan, then you need the energy for it. So when you look at the world and see that there is energy everywhere, the energy is in different forms and it is always being sustained by some infinite source of energy. And this infinite source of energy is whom we refer to as Narayana. Narayana means infinite source of all auspicious attributes. Narayana. Na ara. Ara means doshas. So when we talk about dosha, here what do we mean? When there is a lack of something, then it is a dosha. So Nara means who has no dosha, who has no lack in any kind of attribute. In human beings, we see some people are generous, some people are kind, some people are compassionate. But all these attributes of that person are dependent on the time, the situation, their abilities, and their assets. So we cannot just generalize and say that this person is generous. It's not true always. But for Paramatma, it is true always. His name itself is Narayana, who has no kind of defects at any time. He is flawless and full of auspicious attributes. So we are calling out to him and bowing down to him and seeking his protection. In this Narayana panjara, which can be recited every day, once we know the meaning of this mantra or this stotra that Prasanna Venkatadasaru has said, when we say meaning, the literal meaning is the first part, and then how it influences the mind is the second part. And then the third part would be how it actually relates to God. As you say, there is always one literal interpretation, one psychological interpretation, and one spiritual interpretation. For the great texts like the Mahabharata, it has been acknowledged to be having these three meanings in various depths, in various levels. For us, our idea is to explore what are the different meanings that can be seen in these verses that Dasaru has composed and how it can help us to improve our performance in our daily life, in our physical and spiritual levels, in different levels, no? However, we need what kind of energy, what kind of clarity, all those things will become more evident to us once we practice the the thought process or the contemplation of these shlokas. So when we think of something, we know that in science too, that thoughts are what make you. Because what is in the thought that manifests at some time in the future. So if the thought is very, very strong, then the manifestation also happens quite soon. The thought has to be completely focused and strong. And it should be of full faith. So when we have faith in what we are talking about or what we are engaged in, then it can manifest at a very clear and easily acceptable time frame. What do we mean by that? Before you forget that you had asked for this, you would be receiving it. And you would be able to relate that you have received it as the grace of that God whom you have prostrated to, whom you have contemplated on. So Narayana is the source of all auspicious attributes. He's completely flawless. So once we know whom we are associating with, using the Narayana Kavacha, the stone, which has around 41 verses, we are associating with Narayana, none other than Narayana. So whatever we have, when we associate our mind with something, our mind gets attached to that. Association builds attachment. When the attachment is towards the auspiciousness, towards the positivity, then our mind also becomes positive. And a positive mind is the best tool that anyone can have to deal with the world. In the present world, in the present situation in the world, we find that people of various stratas of societies are faced with problems on different levels. Physical because of illnesses, or fear of illnesses, mentally also that affects, and stress levels at various levels for a mother, young mother. She has so many things to tackle regarding her children, regarding her career, regarding her relationship with her husband, with her family members. And then when we look at other things like a person who's only in the career, he doesn't just have to be dealing with his work. He has to deal with his colleagues. He has to deal with the suppliers, if he is a marketing person, he has to deal with the people whom he has to present and market. There's so many things which cause a lot of stress to the people. So once we have this Narayana Kavacha to protect us from all this. So how does this protection actually happen? It is the trust in that supreme personality, in that personality who is flawless. There's no time that he won't come to protect you if you believe in him. There's no time that he will lack the support or lack the energy to come. And there is no force in the world that can stop him from coming. Such is his greatness. So that is explained to us in this Narayana Kavacha. And Narayana Kavacha has the in three levels. Like if you see, when you want to tell someone about something and you want them to trust in it, then you need to tell about people who have already gone to it. Recently, I went for a pranayama camp. In that, the teacher or the guru was talking about her previous experiences with pranayama and with the people. She has dealt with around 30,000 people as her students, and what are their thoughts? How did they feel? How did they improve on themselves? How did their health and emotional quotients improve? All these things she has tabulated, and she uses some of them to give the to build the trust in the new students that this will work for you. Unless you know and believe that this will work for you, why would you do it? Keeping that in mind, in those times, we have to see that Prasanna Venkatadasaru has kept that in mind, that he has to build the trust in the person before he starts to tell about what are the greatness about Narayana. So in order to build the trust in the person, he has given us the relevant episodes from the Bhagavatam to tell us how Paramatma has come to help the aid of his devotees. The devotee might be a 5-year-old, he might be an old man of 80 or more, he might be a crocodile or he might be an elephant. It might be in any form that the soul is crying out in distress to the Paramatma, and he will come flying on the Garuda. That is the picture that he wants us to bring to our mind when he says, Narayanaya namo Narayanaya, Narayanaya namo Narayana, Narayanaya namo Narayana. He wants us to keep chanting this. All through the day we have to do it. All through the day it will become automatic. Once we start chanting at a personal level, I have seen that. The song is like that. Narayanaya namo Narayana. And Narayana is that person or that entity who is completely powerful. So the moment you take his name and your mind is filled with the greatness, with gratefulness to that person who has created the world, to that entity, supreme entity who sustains the world. And we are part of that creation. We are enjoying the creation, and we need to be in gratitude, full of gratitude for him. Acharya Madhva very beautifully says that you have to think about the great glory of the Lord. But if you really can't understand, why should I think about him like that? Then he says, just look at the world. See its greatness. I mean, look at the world and its different aspects, starting from how the time is designed. You get sunlight in the morning and then it becomes dusk at night. This itself is a cycle which is constant. And this constancy only allows us to build our days. We have time, we have calendar, we have holidays, we have functions, we have festivals. Everything is required for our mind. If there is no kind of consistency, then the human being would be disturbed. But there is a consistency in this. And then the rise of the sun signifies the light which allows human activity, which allows the plants to grow, which allows the water vapor to be evaporated and form clouds to give us rain again. The innumerable number of benefits that the sun affords to any human being or any person, any animal or plant on the earth. So he says, Bahuchitra Jagat, Bahuda Karanat, Parashaktirananta Guna Paramaha. Look at that world, he says. Bahuchitra Jagat. It is so wonderful. The beauty of the world is really wonderful. Look at that, he says. Can you really explain it truly? In fact, scientists say that we cannot even explain this world. In The Collision of the Worlds, it's a book. He says that even if 1 second the gravitational pull of the earth was missing, then there would be a huge collision of all the earth hurtling around and getting hit by so many heavenly bodies. The smallest of the smallest fraction of a second also, if there was no gravity, there would be haywire on earth. So this kind of stability that we are experiencing every day is due to the infinite power of the Lord, Paramatma. In different forms, He is pervading the entire earth, entire universe, and He has made it in place for the human beings to exist on this earth. So, Bahuchitra Jagat Bahuda Karanat. For this, who is the cause of all this? Parashakti Rananta Gunaparam. When you look at this itself, you should be thinking, who is the creator of this? Who is the sustainer of this? He must be of very high significance. Paramaha means who is of the most and supreme level. Supreme. He is the supreme being. And he has Ananta Guna. He has endless, infinite gunas, he says. Here, gunas means attributes. What are the gunas of Paramatma? He is all powerful. He is full of valor. He can immediately contain any kind of revolt from the negative entities. He is of supreme energy. He is full of light and he is full of joy and bliss. So, what are these attributes we are talking of is the definition of Bhagavan itself, who has complete control on every entity. And to have such control, he should have all these gunas. He should have knowledge, he should have bliss. Because when you have knowledge, then you can create the entity and you can sustain it. Even in the world, it's like that. No? If you don't have a knowledge about how to make a certain thing, then how would you make it? Entire world is filled with such vichitra things, such various items. If you try to document the different types of apparatus that are used for breathing in different species of beings, that would itself take us huge columns. And the same breathing is a method for the prana shakti to go inside the species. But that breathing apparatus itself is so varied. For human beings, what is necessary is the air, whereas for the fish, the water is the method through which the prana enters. So this is very absolutely vichitra. That's why he says when you look at the world and see all these vichitra, you will understand that the great Paramatma must have infinite auspicious attributes. And that is the definition of Narayana. So here we are coming to Narayana Varma, Narayana Kavacha. And in this Narayana Kavacha or Panjara, Panjara and Kavacha are the same meaning only. But Panjara has the meaning, if you say, Panjara means it's a cage. So usually what happens, people don't want to be in cage. We want to be out and we want to be free. So then why are we being asked to be in this cage? So here we have to understand that being inside the cage called Narayana would set us absolutely free from any kind of shackles that we are experiencing now. For example, we are experiencing the shackles of samsara, and it has been in time immemorial that we have this kind of shackle. We don't even know that we are in a shackles. Unless and until a time comes when we feel, oh, when can I be out of this? When can I get out of this? Situations, experiences of pain, sorrow, grief, anxiety, all these try to make us think in that direction. So, one who wants to be free from the shackles of samsara has to be in the cage of Narayana. So, it's just like this when we go to a lion safari. If you go freely walking in the safari by walk, the lion will pounce and it will eat the person. But if that person goes in a van or a jeep with proper ammunition or proper protection, then when he roams the entire Amazon forests also, or the safari which is filled with fierce lions, nothing will happen to him. In a similar way, if we who are now in this safari of the world where there are lots of lions, tigers, and other type of wild animals in the form of fierce anxieties, diseases of the mind and body, people to be feared, situations to be feared, all these kind of things are attacking us. But if we want to be free of that, we have to have the Narayana Kavacha on us, Narayana Panjara. So the Narayana Panjara is not exactly a translation of the Narayana Varma that appears in the Bhagavatam, but it is somewhat a similar entreaty. There also, the entry that the Narayana Varma is it is an entreaty to Paramatma to protect in all the various scenarios that can happen to a human being. It can be in the forest, in the river, in the water, in the sky, everywhere he is asking for protection. So here we are talking about Narayana Panjara, which is also an entity for protection. So before we start with the protection entity, we are given the instances of those devotees who sought protection and they were protected. So this instills in us the faith. So the amount of trust that we have in that entity to whom we are associating with, it will regulate the extent that we can go, the deep, the depth of how we can contemplate on him, because that necessity is there and the belief or the trust is there. Both of these combine together and it gives us a result immediately. So the song goes like this. I think I took a longer time for the introduction, but I think that would have been really necessary to understand our relationship with God is what I wanted to take your time for. I will just do the Pallavi or the first part for today. Narayana Panjara Sri Prasanna Venkata Dasa Virachita. Sri Prasanna Venkata Dasarya Virachita. So when we talk of any work, then we pay obeisance to the person who has composed this kriti. So here it is Prasanna Venkata Dasaru. So let us bow down and seek his grace in understanding this kriti and implementing it in our life. Shri Prasanna Venkatadasa Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Prasanna Venkatadasa Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Prasanna Venkatadasa Gurubhyo Namaha. Narayanaya Namo Narayanaya Namo. Narayanaya Namo Narayana. Naradara Mukadinda Narakastara Ebbisida Narayanaya Namo Narayana. Narayanaya Namo Narayana is the Narayana Shabda here is occurring 6 times. Narayana, 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 Narayana. So Narayanaya Namo. I bow down to that Narayana. Namo means one is to bow down. Namo means na mama. I am nothing in front of him. I am nothing at all until he is there with me. That also means Namo. Na mama. Nothing is mine. Nothing in this world is mine. It's all his. So nothing here would be nothing. My entire body, my indriyas, whatever assets that I have, the house, the people, relationships, the wealth, everything belongs to him. So it's a complete surrender. So when we talk about Narayana Namo 6 times, then there is also one more implication in this. First, the number 6, it stands for the mind, which the mind, no, it has 6 different types of diseases, we can say, or the states of the mind which contribute to our anxiety, which contribute to our fear. What are they? They are Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsara. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara. These are called as Arishad Vargas. So the first thing that attacks the human being is these 6 only. With these 6 only, the human being suffers. If their Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara is not there, then there is nothing that can disturb the human mind. One of these only is the cause for the disturbance. And when the mind is disturbed, the entire physics gets disturbed. So the mind has to be undisturbed by all these kind of things. That Namo tells that I am nothing, you are the one who gives me everything. Then why should I aspire for more? Why should I want something? The moment I want something, that is karma. So when you want something, that desire prompts you to engage in action. It may be detrimental to other people, but you don't just care because you want that thing. So karma becomes, then it moves into krodha. When what you have desired comes to someone else, you feel the negativity towards them. You feel angry with them. So anger is again developed into the mind. Kama krodha. Suppose you get what you wanted, you desired something, you got it, then you want more of it. If you want a high paying job, say 20 lakhs per annum, you got it. Then you don't want that anymore. You want a 40 lakhs per annum. So that is lobha, greed. Moha. Then whatever you have got, you want it only for yourself. You don't want anyone else to get it. So whatever you have, you start amassing it and you don't want to give it away to anyone. That is called as moha. Mada means I am only great. I have such a great thing. And then matsara means being jealous of those who have more than you. In these things, I'm using the word you just for the sake of making it to be understood. It doesn't mean literally you. For all those who are watching here, it doesn't mean literally you. And I'm very sorry that I'm using this word, because that is the way I am able to talk about it in a manner that can be understood by me first and then for all of you. So here, Narayana Namo, we are bowing down to that supreme being who is full of auspicious attributes, who's completely flawless, who has complete control on the entire world, and who can come to your rescue at any time. So when you bow down to that kind of person, to that kind of relationship who is existing right inside you, who is at your call, he will come immediately. And you're telling him that I'm nothing, you are everything. And he will immediately come and respond to you. So the moment this Narayana Shabda is uttered 6 times, praying to him that you are full of auspiciousness, remove this negativity in my mind. Remove this negativity. When he is auspicious, when he knows everything about what you need, then why would he not give you what you need? He will definitely give you if you believe in it. So the moment you start believing that he is going to give you what you exactly need, then the desire for any other thing, it just relapses. You don't have it anymore. And with that karma, the krodha also goes. So kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavaha, he says. The rajoguna that starts the turmoil of this kama, krodha and others that are the that are the accompaniments of this will be completely stopped. And as a result, the mind becomes peaceful. That's the one of the first benefits that we get by chanting Narayana 6 times. Narayana, Namona, and these are the 6 dispositions of the mind which cause us to do sin. Sin means it's a state of mind which makes you act in a negative way, in a way that is detrimental to others. And finally, it is detrimental to ourselves also. So if this is avoided, then the entire chain of going to Naraka, or which is told in the Bhagavatam too, that the moment we do something wrong, then we have to bear the fruit of it. It may be a negative consequence in this world or in the other world, whatever it is. But Narayana Shabda itself, when it is uttered, it rescues the person who is already in that place. He says. We are not yet gone in that Naraka. We are in the human world. We have the chance to chant his name. Once you chant the name, then you are free from that negative attitudes. So a person in Naraka also was rescued by Narada. Narayana Nama is so powerful that when Narada was passing through the Naraka areas where he keeps going about everywhere, chanting the name of Narayana. And once he was passing Naraka. Naraka is the place where the people who have done wickedness, who have exhibited negative influences in the world, they have to, they are being given the punishment, we can say, for the sake for them to avoid that type of activity in the next phases of their journey. So at that time, when the people who they might be good people, but they have engaged in wrongdoing during their lifetimes, so they were in the Naraka, and in the Naraka they were being given different types of afflictions. They were crying out in pain and fear. And that time when Narada was passing, he heard the voices of these desolate voices of the people, and he said, Narayanaya namo, Narayanaya namo, Narayanaya namo, Narayanaya namo. He chanted on behalf of everyone. Narayana, he is the one who is the savior of everyone. The same word, he is my savior, is one attitude. Narada, he takes the name of the Lord to tell all the people in the world, the good people, to trust in Narayana and to seek his protection. With that same attitude, let it be for the good of everyone. He chanted Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. And those who were suffering in that hell, they were relieved of their pain, of their grief and suffering. Such is the glory of Narayana's Nama. Such is the glory of the chanting, even by not them who heard it also, they were able to get free of that shackle of that hell. That's why it's told here, Naradara Mukhadinda Narakastara Ebbisida. Naradara Mukhadinda means Narada chanted the Narayana Nama and he uplifted those who were in Naraka to come out of that state and to be free from that suffering. Such is the glory of the Narayana Nama. So we have more to see about the name Narayana, and we will be doing that in our next sitting, which will where we will continue the Narayana Panjara. Let us offer everything in devotion to Sri Hari, and that is his dictate in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. So the shloka in the Bhagavatam is what we will be using. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा अनुसृतस्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायति समर्पयामि. हरे श्रीनिवास. श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.